Well, listen, I know that Charlie's interested in talking about 2024 and Joe Biden, but I just want to make things very, very clear. The only worn-out old donkey I'm looking to put out to pasture is Charlie Crist.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the debate between Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the Democratic hopeful to become the governor, Charlie Crist. Now, this was a very good debate, a few controversial moments, a few tweets that got viral that were not real as it relates to the content of the debate. And before I go any further into it, let's go ahead and roll some clips. All of these will be available in the description box. And if I miss anything, y'all please let me know in the comments. But let's start with this good clip right here about the lockdowns in the state of Florida.
And I would also say this. You mentioned, Liz, that people are flocking to Florida. That would not have happened if Charlie Crist had his way. He wrote me a letter in July of 2020 saying you need to shut down the state of Florida. He said you need to force people to shelter in their own homes. That would have destroyed the state of Florida. That would have caused our tourism industry to go into the toilet. It would have locked out millions of kids from school. I rejected Charlie Crist's lockdown letter. I kept this state open and I kept this state free. And we now have the biggest budget surplus in the history of Florida. We have a 2.5% unemployment,
Governor,
second lowest on record, and we just did the biggest tax cut in Florida history.
Thank you, Governor. That's time. Congressman, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Thank you very much. Well, Ron, that's rich. You're the only governor in the history of Florida that's ever shut down our schools.
I mean, come on, man. Like, when's the last time you had a pandemic ever? Everybody did that. But Florida was, I think, one of the first states, if not the first state, to open up fully. And a lot of other governors follow in DeSantis' footsteps.
You're the only governor in the history of Florida that shut down our businesses. I never did that as governor. You're the one who's the shutdown guy. We need to have somebody who is at the helm that understands it's important to listen to science, to do what's right,
science,
utilize common sense. You don't just shut down at the outset, and then when it's, politically convenient for you, you want to open back up to store political points.
The crowd reactions are hilarious.
Or you waste the president. That's not right. It's not what the people deserve.
Governor, you have 30 seconds.
Well, so he opposed having kids in school. His supporters sued me to keep the kids out of school in 2020. And how critical was that decision? We just got the nation's report card, the results from all 50 states. Florida, number 3 in 4th grade reading and number 4 in the country in 4th grade math. And if you adjust that for demographics, we are number 1 in the country in both. That would not have happened if we let Charlie Crist and his friends lock our kids out of school like they did in California and like they did in New York. We did it right in Florida.
Very well done. Very well done. And he's right on point. Because I remember Florida, they were getting a lot of flack from the media talking about, oh, you guys are opening up too soon. You guys don't care about people. But now we know the reality of the whole situation. And he was right the entire time. Now we got a lot more clips to get through. So I'm going to just keep on speedballing through.
The Biden administration reversed almost every policy that was in place, and they opened the floodgates. That's why we have the problem. It's not from some phantom piece of legislation. And, I hear Charlie Crist talking about some of this other stuff. He as a congressman made $174,000 a year. You know how many days he showed up to work in Washington, D.C. this year? 14 days. Imagine that deal for you. You show up 14 days and you make over $100,000. That's the type of effort this guy puts into actually doing his job. The Biden administration.
Very good. Shout out to Ron DeSantis. Shout out to him. Now, here we are talking about the abortion and whatnot, which is controversial to many.
I'm proud of the 15 weeks that we did. I know Charlie Crist.
So if you're listening to this and you can't actually see the screen, he's talking about the 15-week abortion ban, to be very clear.
Opposes that, even though the baby is fully formed, has a heartbeat, can feel pain, and can suck their thumb. He also supports sex-selective abortions, which is used to discriminate against little girls. He supports dismemberment abortions, where they literally will tear the baby limb from limb. And he supports taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up until the moment of birth, and that is wrong. I'm proud.
So this is from The Recount. I guess it's a liberal page, and their caption says, DeSantis says he is proud of the 15-week abortion ban passed in Florida and falsely claims at 15 weeks the baby is fully formed. Okay, so that's their caption, although I don't agree with that caption. I'm just using the video for my purposes. Now, here we are getting into the trans stuff and the kids and whatnot, and that's pretty important to watch as well.
You're a 15-year-old. You can't go get a tattoo in the state of Florida, yet we're saying you could get a double mastectomy? Of course not.
And you know what? That point I made 2 years ago on Jubilee. I said the exact same thing, talking about Dwayne Wade's son, daughter, whatever you want to call this person. And I'm like, he's 12 years old. How can he say he wants to be transgender? You can't even get a tattoo under the age of 18, but you can change your gender. You can remove your breasts if you're a girl trying to become a boy. It doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous.
It is inappropriate to do this for minors, and in Florida, we are not going to allow that to happen. You're a 15.
Very good. And this goes a little bit further into it. And Charlie Crist is defending this practice, talking about, oh, that's like what you think about a woman's right to choose. Let's go ahead and play this clip. This is pretty enlightening, to say the least.
They were minors. Now they're adults and they regret it. And other countries in Europe that went down this road have now backtracked. And so we're doing the right thing. It's inappropriate to be doing basically what's genital mutilation.
Congressman, you have 1 minute.
This reminds me of your position on a woman's right to choose. You think you know better than any physician or any doctor or any woman in a position to make decisions about their own personal health.
We're talking about little kids here, especially. We're talking about kids. You're talking about a woman's right to choose. We're talking about 12 and 13-year-olds. So, Charlie Crist, exactly what's going on in your mind? I'm not really sure. If you want to be an adult and do whatever you want to your body, that's one thing. But a 12-year-old, I think there should be limitations on that, don't you think? Okay, just like they can't consent to certain things, which they shouldn't be able to. They should not be able to, quote unquote, consent to having a sex change, having their actual body parts rearranged. That shouldn't be going on at all. Okay, now here is the beginning part of my opening clip that I showed you guys about the whole, donkey out the pasture thing. This is the context of that clip.
Ron, you talk about Joe Biden a lot. I understand. You think you're going to be running against him. I can see how you might get confused. But you're running for governor. You're running for governor. And I have a question for you. You're running for governor. Why don't you look in the eyes of the people of the state of Florida and say to them, if you're reelected, you will serve a full 4-year term as governor? Yes or no? Yes or no, Ron? Will you serve a full 4-year term if you're reelected governor of Florida? It's not a tough question. It's a fair question. He won't tell you.
So then he goes on to say, well, I know you're interested in talking about that, but I'm interested in this right here. Now, DeSantis could run for president because his name is in the hat. He hasn't put his name in the hat himself, obviously. He's running for governor right now in the great state of Florida. However, he could become the next president. He could run if Trump doesn't run, or if Trump does run, he could throw his name in the hat. So we got to see about that. We got to see. All right. Now, here's another controversial moment about the whole stolen land and all this and that and the third. Let's check it out. And I may have another clip for this, actually. Do I? Actually, let's go ahead and play this one. This kind of makes a little bit more sense to get the full context of what's going on.
Require teaching.
Actually, hold on. The stolen land one, that might make more. Let's play this one, then the next one.
It actually, if you look around the country, they do have programs, unfortunately, well, they will take a student, look at their race, say, okay, you're white, you're an oppressor. If you're black, you're oppressed. And think about what that does to a 6 or 7-year-old kid. That's wrong. You're seeing that. You have people that are teaching, and actually his running mate has said this in the past, that teaching the United States was built on stolen land. That is inappropriate for our schools. It's not true. And I'm happy. It actually, if you look around the country.
All right, there we go. Now let's continue here. And what he said right there about the whole racial division, that's 100% true. They put the black kids over there, white kids over there, Hispanics over there, and then they'll say, okay, you guys are the oppressed, you guys are the oppressors. That's not appropriate to teach to kids. It shouldn't be taught, period, but definitely not to children. If you want to be an adult, you could do pretty much whatever you want as long as you're not breaking the law. You can get beat up for fun if you want to when it's an adult, but I think we should be able to protect kids more than what some would want us to do in this country. Let's keep on going here.
Require teaching all of American history, including slavery, civil rights, segregation. It's important that that's taught. But what I think is not good is to scapegoat students based on skin color. It's not good to distort American history by saying that the American Revolution was fought to defend slavery, which is not true. I think we should have a history like Abraham Lincoln believed in our founding, like Frederick Douglass. These are great eternal principles. We've got a great Constitution, and people have used those principles to make great progress over the course of our country's history. I'm proud of our history. I don't want to teach kids to hate our country. I don't want to teach kids to hate each other. And the way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race.
Very well said. Now, this was controversial because what happened was this person right here, this Olivia Giuliano or whatever, they put out a tweet talking about, he said that the Civil War was not about ending slavery. Like the tweet was totally wrong. Although if he was to say the Civil War was not about slavery, he'd be kind of correct, halfway correct. Because check it out. Yes, slavery was a part of the Civil War. However, both sides of the war had slaves throughout the entire war. So you can't tell me, hey, we're coming to free the slaves while we got slaves in our own backyard. It doesn't make any sense. So that whole thing was crazy. But what he said right here was just right. The American Revolution, that was, the 1776, all that was about being free from the Kingdom of Great Britain, not about slavery. And the Civil War was more about slavery, but it wasn't totally about slavery because, again, both sides had slaves. So I wanted to clear that up and get it off my chest. There's a few more clips, I suppose, but I'll link to everything in the description box so you can see it in full. And if I can find the full debate, I'll link to that in the box as well. Some may say this was a Ron DeSantis highlight film, but DeSantis, he's the man. He's the guy. Charlie Crist had one moment, and that was the whole will you be governor for 4 years thing? Are you going to try to become the next president? All this and that. That was pretty much his shining moment. And there were some other moments right there they didn't shine very well that I showed, talking about, oh, well, you don't believe in children being able to have sex changes and gender reassignment surgery. It's like your stance on a woman's right to choose. Ridiculous things. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Ron DeSantis. This was a good debate. I think it was their one and only debate. I don't think that Charlie Crist has a chance. Florida is solidly a red state. I think it went 52 to 47, Trump, Biden, respectively. So I don't think it's going to change. I think Florida is becoming more and more red as you get a bunch of refugees from other places that go to Florida who want to be more conservative. They're going to pretty much be voting the same way that they did back in 2020. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your thoughts on the debate? Did you see the entire thing? Did you watch some of the clips? How'd you feel about those? Whatever your thoughts are, y'all let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. This was a very good debate. I enjoyed what I saw. I thought DeSantis did great. He always does good. And it's kind of a 50-50 chance, in my humble opinion, whether he'll run for president or not in 2024. Who knows? He might just stay put. I think he might stay put. If Trump runs, he'll stay put. If Trump doesn't run, he might not stay put. If Trump doesn't run, DeSantis could run and easily defeat whoever they put in front of him. Easily. So we'll see what happens when the time comes. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.